Hey, welcome back to Minecraft. This is going to be dungeons in Minecraft, I think. This video is going to be focused on how to be a good DM. And I've got, a list of talking points that I want to go over and mention a few things. But, so, I've been playing, first I want to go over, maybe my credentials a little, and tell you that I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons and Dragons, I don't know, for longer than I went to college, I can tell you that. And it is amazing. It is both the best and the sessions I've had with the guys have been both the best. What was that? Motherfucker. Have been both the best and the worst experiences I've ever had. I've made friendships over D&D and I've lost them. Things get a little heated sometimes when it's poorly run. And I know that there's a strong community out there of people that really enjoy D&D, so I thought I'd spend a little bit of time with that community and give some of the pointers, that I've learned about how to be a good DM. Well, so in my estimation, damn, I knew that was going to happen. In my estimation, the first thing that you need to learn as a DM is that you are the controller of the universe that you make. Within the D&D universe, you are the final say. The players may have planned something. I'm tired of mining, so I'm going to go explore a little bit. The players may have planned something to go one way, but you have final say as to what actually happened. They may say, oh, well, I'm going to go jump through this windowsill and come up and land an attack on the bad guy, whatever, I don't know. Well, that's what they tried to do. Who knows what actually happened? Now, that's not to say that you can tell them, you control them in this universe. That's, a lot of DMs get that false impression. If your players, as themselves want to do something, like they want to get up and walk away, or they want to go, I don't know, maybe go get a drink from the kitchen, or they want to joke around instead of play your game, they're going to do that. And there's nothing that you can do about it. Once you guys understand this interaction, that it takes both the players acquiescing to your will and you understanding that they don't have to do everything that you say, I think that I think that's the foundation for a healthy, I don't know what the hell this is. I think that's the foundation for a healthy, what's the word? Relationship. I really don't know what this is, so I'm gonna, oh Lord, look at that. Cool. That's the foundation for a healthy relationship in D&D. You need to be respectful of each other. No. Once you've got that, there's, let's see, what else? So once you've got an understanding with each other, you have to go on to understanding first how many people are going to be playing. This is really important. If you're not sure how many people are playing, or if you're going to be depending on people that you might consider flaky, I would incorporate in your campaign a way to have those people come and go in the story, so they don't always have to be there. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck waiting on them, and waiting on them, and waiting on them to finally come around, and that's not fun for anyone. So I'm just going to use dirt to get down there. Let's see. So you're going to, yeah, you don't want to be waiting. Waiting on a game kills the game. That's just a fact. So once you've got an idea of how many people that you want to play, damn, there's no real good way to do that, is there? Let's see. Okay, so once you've got a good idea of what you want to do, or how many people are going to be playing, rather, the next question is, what are you actually going to be doing in the campaign? You don't have to worry about a story arc per se. You just got to have a rough plan for what's going to happen. I don't know what this is, but it terrifies me, so I'm going to leave. I got some pretty good things. All right, that's fine with me. You gotta have a plan, but don't write a full story arc. I guarantee you that your players are not going to arrive in the manner or choosing, the manner or the style of your choosing. It's just not going to happen. If you have an invaluable MacGuffin that is going to save the world, your players will inevitably lose, sell, or destroy it. It's like spreading. This is just a metaphor or a simile that I come up with to explain it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's like spreading, jam or peanut butter on a piece of toast. That is just going to coat right over that and fill in all the cracks in your story. It's just a guarantee. So that that's not to say that you shouldn't put any effort at all. You've got to understand what motivates your players. I gotta actually focus here for a second. You got to understand what motivates your players. Why would they put in time to play your game? I mean, honestly, why would they? I need more planks. What captures their imagination? I mean, you've got to do that. Let's see. Do they? You got to find out what embodies their fears, or anything, something to get them to come back to the table. If you do this and you do this effectively, I guarantee that you'll have an enjoyable experience. So just but just get a good hook, get a good idea of what you want to do. For instance, I had an idea for my most recent campaign where I just have a group of really, basically peasants living on the, the outskirts, the beggars of the town, going to find a cure for petrification because the king went to go see an oracle, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, it's just starts out as a simple fetch quest. And I don't know why I'm going down there. I didn't have any grand plans for them. That's just where I started off at. But it ended up in, it's evolved now to where they're going through giant trees and, fighting clans of orcs, and it's really cool to see how the story evolved naturally. So until you get more comfortable, you can plan out the details of the night's adventure. Conversations, loots. Sorry, I get distracted easily. Conversations, loot, the whole shebang. The size of the dungeon, what monsters are going to be populating it. it's just easier sometimes, you know, when you're just starting, because you don't want to be sitting there going, you guys see, yeah, an orc. It's bad orc, I think. It's so you need to be prepared. And for me, I've been doing this long enough that I can go in there with a rough sketch of what I want done that night, and then fill in the details with, you know, monsters that I know the stats of in my head, or, you know, loot that I know is level appropriate, that kind of thing. Don't try that. Don't do that at home. You need to be prepared, because nobody likes a DM that's just flipping through their books. So once you've got the rough hook that you're going to have, and I want to go back over there and see what else is over there. Once you've got the rough hook down, and you know, you've got some planning for the night session, or for your first night session, get together your group of people and set aside a night to create characters. It will take a lot of time. Make sure that you have enough resources for everyone. No one likes sitting around waiting for their DM, or waiting on a computer, or waiting on a book to make their characters, because that, you know, it literally takes hours. So that's hours that 90% of your players are just sitting there. Cool. I like this. Let's see what else is in here. Neat. So have plenty of resources for your user base. Where was I? Plenty of resources for your user base. All right. Yeah. Make sure you can use the handbooks that you find on. Oh my God! I'm going to kill those people. You can use what were called handbooks online. Like, you can just type into Google Wizard Handbook 3.5, and it'll come up with a guide that a person has made of all the different ways that you can build a wizard. And it both has the maximal, you know, strat for breaking the game completely. That's not any fun at all, by the way. But it also gives you an idea of what might be flavorful, what might be interesting for your character to have. Like, I've got a character right now that I really want to play, who's just this fat priest, and all that he does is diplomacy. He tries to talk his way out of everything, and convince others that God wills it. And that leads into my next topic. Have your characters flesh out a backstory. Doesn't have to be long. It's what we call skirt length. Skirt length just means that it's long enough to cover the essentials, but short enough to keep my attention. That's a terrible thing to say, but it's true. It describes it perfectly. Have them, give a little bit about what their character's motivation is, why they're venturing. If they don't want to reveal a lot of their character, that is absolutely up to them. It could reveal, make for a more interesting story later when their sordid past comes up to catches up with them. But have them have some backstory, at least in their head, for headcanon. And as for your own world, don't spend a lot of time, expounding to them on your backstory. Again, keep it skirt length, long enough to cover the essentials. Why are we hunting orcs? That kind of thing, but short enough to keep my attention, or short enough to keep me interested. Descriptions convey so much more than simply saying, than simple facts. This is a key tool for DMing, and it's something that we'll get into a little later, I think, in this video. So once you've got your characters made up, you've got a simple backstory for each of them. What you want to do is you want to set up your first real gaming night. Make sure that you bring pencil and paper for everyone so that they can take notes. Keep it with their character sheets. It'll help make them feel more engaged. If you say, oh, go to, don't ever repeat instructions. Just say, hey, go to such and such. It's a town that overlooks such and such, such and such. Give them a description. Or say, hey, you've got, I don't know, I can't think of a good example right now, honestly. But if they're busy taking notes on what you said, they are going to be more engaged. It's just a fact. This is why I remember where I was going to go with it. This is why I always make my players write or draw their own map. I have a whiteboard that I use. Well, I had a whiteboard. Now I use a piece of acrylic sheeting over some white background, and I've carved just a simple grid into the acrylic sheeting. It's super cheap. It was only about like $7 and then some time. But I have them draw their own map on the board, and then I hand them. I use gemstones from the bottom of a fish tank as my tokens. Every DM has their own stash of coins or spare dice that they've got that they use. It just depends on what your DM has at hand, honestly. But I hand all that to them and I say, you're in the edge of a forest. The trees are sparsely spread out, and it's the town that you're going to is 3 days east, and they've got to, if they want a map, they've got to sit down and draw a map. It helps draw them in and helps give them spatial awareness, because that's something that can be lost in D&D, spatial awareness. It's hard to say, give a full description of a battle, and then to come back to one player and he goes, oh, okay, wait, where am I again? It can be a little bit of a problem. So as far as actually what's going to be in your campaign, like the meat and potatoes, it depends on what your party likes. Do they enjoy RP? Do they enjoy traps? Do they enjoy, treasure, dungeons, open worlds, building, destroying? Me personally, I love building buildings in D&D. I don't know why. I really don't. I just love, like my first wizard, my first character ever was a wizard. And he was a transmutation wizard. So he tried to work with stone a lot. He was actually a conjuration transmutation wizard. And he just loved working with stone. So he built a tower. He did some creative uses of wall of stone and the shape stone. I forget what the actual spell name is right now. But using this creatively, he made himself a tower. And I love that. Other players will just love destroying buildings. So it just depends on what they enjoy. But once you find, throw a variety of things at them and see what sticks, honestly. Once you've seen, oh, well, they really enjoy X, that's going to come up. I'll use that a little bit more in the future. Now, don't use that exclusively, just use it more. For the group that I'm going to have to get another pickaxe. For the group that I've played with for the past, 6 years, that group is very much so kick the door down. They like their story skirt length, they like their puzzles solvable with a dice roll. They're not very complicated players. What that means is that they're not going to deal well with a lot of cerebral puzzles, per se, or heavy planning if to go into a dungeon. They want to grab ready-to-go characters and jump in. And that's you know, that's perfectly fine. I had to make the transition a couple of months ago to, I started up a group in, where I have to travel about an hour to see my friends, so I set up a group in my hometown with the aid of my fiance, and oh yeah, did I tell you that she said yes? Yeah, we're engaged now. Can't remember if I told you guys or not. Ooh, redstone. But I had to make the transition recently to playing with a group that, now I'm gonna have to go get an iron pickaxe. I'm transitioned to a group that enjoys the cerebral. They really enjoy doing the RP, and the first time I laid out a maze for them, they pulled out pen and paper and, you know, tried to figure it out. And I thought that was amazing, because typically mazes, unless you really, you know, spend some time, mazes are going to be solvable by an intelligence roll. But these guys really wanted to do that, so I thought that was amazing. So now I've got puzzles, and I've got, you know, all kinds of cerebral adventures for them. Actually, I've got some, you know, really interesting riddles, but whatever. It's just what they wanted. And if inevitably your players are going to find, like I was talking about earlier, your players are going to find the cracks in your campaign. Don't get flustered. Don't worry. D&D is fun. It's not supposed to be stressful. You know, don't get flustered. They're going to find it. Just roll with it. Honestly, that makes the best story. The one of the campaigns I was running with, they took a magical artifact that I was using for a specific purpose and repurposed it, and it led to just a great story, because they did things their own way, and I had to go, oh well, shit, what would the bad guy do if they did that? Just extemporize. It doesn't matter if it's perfect, but just having it will help. Okay, cool, cow. You're gonna die now. Because I need to get a little bit of food because I'm running low. So that'll be today. So, also, along with the idea of your players breaking your campaign, they're also going to have a lot of rules question. Your whatever, you know, your ranger is eventually going to go, hey, can I talk to this, or your druid rather, is going to say, can I talk to this squirrel and have him go spy on the enemy and then report back to me? And that is all handled with, either spells or a lot of skill checks, you know. And if you don't use those rules a lot of the time, here's a really great example: mounted combat. God help you if one of your players rides something, because there's an entire mounted combat handbook online. It's ridiculous. But you know, if you don't play with those rules a lot, you may not be entirely familiar with them. And the best, obviously, the most ideal situation is that you would know, where am I going? I need to get to the top of this and see where I'm going, so I can get back. I'm going east. So, when obviously the ideal solution would be to know what's going on, to know the rules intimately, so you don't have to look those kinds of things up. And as the years go on, you will. I don't have to look up what, a vast majority of the spells or the status conditions anymore. But even still, there are times when I go, wait, how would that work? And I know that there's probably a rule somewhere, but I don't want to take the time. The general guideline I give myself is, if I can't find it within 30 seconds with a quick Google search, which 90% of the time you can. You just type into Google what your problem is. I guess rabbits? Do you give me anything? No. Huh. Weird. 90% of the time, you do a quick Google search for whatever status condition or spell that you want, and it'll pop it up. And that's how I DM. But if you can't find it within about 30 seconds, make up a rule and go with it. Keep the game rolling, because stalling will kill the game. It'll have your players will go up and go, oh well, I'm going to take a break while we do this. I'm going to go get a drink, and it'll just completely destroy the flow. If you're at a break point, that's fine. That's great. That looks cool. If you're at a break point, that's great. But if not, it'll ruin the flow of your game. This is why I make all of my spellcasters have a spell book. That a printed out spell book of their own with their known or readied spells on it. This looks really cool. Look at that. So cool. I need to start heading back. But if you have a list of... Where's that sun going? Okay, I need to head this way. If you have a list of things that your players are going to use for them, with a description and then some stats for it, it'll help a lot. I really hope I'm going the right way. But anyways, okay, so as this comes up with the whole extemporize on the rules and that kind, the story, that kind of thing, you could be tempted to fudge on the dice rolls, or fudge on the monster's health, or damage. Don't. It robs any sense of impetus from the game, and if you have a party right, tough shit. Players and DMs need to learn that there are consequences in the game. If your players never die, never have a death, and or a maiming. I always have a good maiming in my D&D. Usually right out the outset, and then about like halfway through, I'll kill somebody. If you pull your punches, they'll learn that there aren't any consequences, and it just robs a lot of the game's sense of purpose. I really hope I'm going the right way. Oh, right. Along the same vein, have a portion dice rolling area. Don't let people roll on their own little sheets or whatever. That's a bad idea, because for new players who are just learning, establishing a little bit of trust, I'm going to go a little south this time. For new players who are just establishing a little trust, it's easy to be suspicious of a 20, or somebody who seems to succeed a little too often. There's some cows, good. It's just easy to be... I know you heard that. Yeah, I guess they're underground. But it's easy to be suspicious. So have an apportioned dice rolling area. It helps establish that trust, and then it helps people to understand that dice rolls don't matter. Okay, that's not true. Dice rolls matter about what happens in the game. Whether they're good or bad does not matter. If they're... Jesus Christ. Oh, no, it's just a little pit. Seems like everywhere else is so cool. Like the grass is green, literally, and grass is greener, and or there's giant cliffs. Anyways, it'll help people understand that what your dice roll actually is, whether it succeeded or failed, doesn't matter terribly. It'll make for an entertaining story either way. Let's see. Finally, I'm going to start wrapping up the video probably. Jesus. Finally, be creative. Don't say that you take X damage You know, say an arrow thuds into your side and blood pours from the wound. That is so much more interesting to listen to. You know, for example, don't say you're in a large cavern, you're facing an earth elemental. What you should say is that the cavern you're in reeks of deposited mud, and much of the chamber is lost to gloom. What wall you can see looks worn with high ridges, like a river once ran here. Rumbling through your feet is all the warning you have before a Goliath bursts through the ground in a shower of rocks. It looks as if stalagmites were fused together and given sentience. Even in this tall chamber, it's stooped, resting on its knuckles. Like that, you know, that just rolls them in. I don't know where I'm going. I got distracted. Having that kind of both the cadence and the you know what you're saying is very visual, and it'll we were talking about this earlier. It'll do so much more for your campaign than giving them facts. And do a little bit of grass cutting. Hate the overgrown look. It'll just give so much more to your campaign than just made up names. You're going to call your city or your world or whatever something, but I guarantee what they're going to hear is Town 1. Unless you give them a description of the town that is so cool. Like, one of my towns is situated on a cliff. There's a river that splits it, and then it has a sky dock, because I have airships in my campaign, because fuck yeah, airships. It has airship docks in it, and so it's the airship, you know, the cliff place, which means a lot more to me than them knowing the name of the town, which they shouldn't know. I made it up. Knowing that kind of thing is silly. They should want to, or they should be able to remember your descriptions, not the name. But yeah, that's about it, I think. I'll probably do more videos on D&D later, just because I really enjoy it. It's a great way to get together with some friends and, you know, develop relationships, exercise your mind a little bit, you know, being creative. It's where I get 90%, you know, 90% of my creative inspiration from. I don't know. It's just amazing. If you haven't given it a shot, give it a shot. I'm a big fan of 3.5, and almost all of the necessary tools that you need to learn or to play can be found online in the SRDs. You can use, everybody has their own favorite system. You could use Pathfinder. That's pretty popular as well. I'm not a big fan of 2.0 just because I don't like THAC0, but you know, to each his own. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this and found some use in it. Maybe some helpful advice or some tips that you didn't otherwise expect. I'm gonna, you know, I really enjoy D&D, and I'm definitely going to be making more videos like this in the future. I'll probably do one where I talk about, you know, how to how to handle a bad player, or how to save your campaign from ruin, or that kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see where it takes us, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like what you see, you know what to do. Comment, subscribe, that kind of thing. Hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll talk to you next time.